Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to round two of the UltimateE All Stars Championship. Today we're at the UltimateE Virtual Series in Spa-Francorchamps, and just like we had in the last three races, we have two drivers per car, which means that there are some teams which have two pro drivers, there are some teams with pro-am drivers, most of them, of course, tier 1 and 2 teams. A mix of manufacturers. We've got three different manufacturers on the grid: Audis, Ferraris, Mercedes. And with me in the commentary box, I've got none other than Arman Ibrahim.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks, Aditya, for the introduction. So excited to be here and broadcast the race at Spa-Francorchamps for you guys. I think we're in for a real treat. The beauty of this, where drivers share the cars, basically mix where we what we've done is we've mixed up professional racing drivers and gamers together, and mixing the experience with the inexperience and getting them to work as a team. And when they work as a team, they help one another, and to not only on track in terms of lap times, but also to strategize. And the strategy is what plays key in terms of getting an overall result, to find the right balance. And what better venue to have it? And this is a perfect precursor for us before the Spa 24-hour race that's being hosted next weekend, where we have two teams taking part as well from UltimateE. So yeah, we've got a really healthy and really strong competitive bunch of drivers taking part, and you're in for a real treat over the next 1 hour.
Yeah, and we've seen, like you said, when we put these guys together as teams, we've seen over the last three races how a lot of the amateur drivers, a lot of the tier 2 drivers, so to say, have improved a lot because they've been paired with experienced guys like Arjun Maini, Sohil Shah, Sai Sanjay. Of course, then you've got the Abdul brothers and Abdul Hadi, who started off the championship slightly on the back foot. Yesterday, we saw him on pole position. So we've seen huge improvements from a lot of drivers. And in fact, a lot of tier 2 drivers have been very happy with the format because it's been giving them an opportunity to really up their game. And what's going to be interesting, like we said yesterday even, is to see how a lot of them improve, not just today, but also in the next few races to come. Of course, next week we are running at Spa 24. And the week after that, we're going to be back in the virtual series. And the last two rounds of the championship, again, two very special rounds. We end the championship at Watkins Glen. So we're really looking forward to that race because if you remember, one of our first GT3 races was at Watkins Glen. And the last round of this championship is going to be there. And a lot of drivers really, really love that circuit. But anyway, let's get back to Spa-Francorchamps. The Formula One season is on now, and they're in Austria. We're at Spa. And unfortunately, this year Formula One's not going. Are they going to Spa? I can't remember if the calendar goes to Spa.
I don't think. I think they officially ruled out Spa, if I'm not mistaken. But nevertheless, I mean, yes, they were coinciding with the Formula One weekend, which coincidentally, Austria is not too far a drive away from Spa-Francorchamps. But our drivers are firmly seated in their respective homes. As you know, that India is still heavily under lockdown in most of the cities. So yeah, we're still adhering to all the rules, but still keeping the competitive nature alive.
Yeah, you can't get rid of that competitive nature in these drivers. We're watching Arjun Maini right now, and Arjun has been one of those fiercely competitive drivers right through the entire UltimateE series, right? So right from the time we started in March all the way until now, and we saw how quick he is in practice. He's been doing 1 minute 16.5 or 4 is what he did, and that was ridiculously fast because he was 4 tenths ahead of the next driver, who was Abdul Pata, and 5 tenths quicker than Sai Sanjay. And we know Abdul and Sai are both really, really quick, and Arjun is just stamping his authority on this field right now. Watching him come across the line as he comes through the last chicane, it's a 2:17.2. Obviously, we know, and he knows as well, that can go quicker than that, but very soon we'll be seeing drivers starting to put their times in. The qualifying session is a 10-minute session, and each driver in that 10 minutes can do up to 4 laps. Of course, Spa being a long track, because they can't really do many more than that. Then we go into a 50-minute race, which has a pit window between the 23rd minute, and the 28th minute, which is a 5-minute window. So the drivers in Spa will have maybe 2 laps to make their stop and then hand it over to the second driver. The strategies are very interesting. We've seen that a lot of drivers yesterday gave the faster drivers the first choice to start the race, whereas today a lot of drivers also it's the other way around. So you have some fast guys starting the race, some slower guys starting the race, tier two drivers, and then after the pit stops, it mixes up again, and then they all bunch up. So we've seen some exciting racing going all the way down to the finish. Most exciting, Arman, being Daytona, where on the last lap we had an incident between the leaders. It was Abdul Fattah and Sai Sanjay. And that just goes to show how close this championship's been. The German drivers, Ronnie and Andre, Sebastian, all of them super competitive and super close as well. And let's not forget how enthusiastic all these guys are.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, we know with all the post.
Now we seem to have lost Arman
Sorry,
slightly
sorry,
there.
sorry, I'm back. But I was just saying, we know the enthusiasm levels with all the post race analogy that goes on and all the complaints and feedback that we get from the drivers that's on how into it they are. But another point that I really want to bring up, Aditya, is also as race drivers or as as gamers who want to become professional race drivers or even just professional esports drivers. This is a great platform as I think leading by example, which Arjun is doing is he's displaying his actual his current sponsors decals on the car. So he's even though his racing season hasn't started in the real sense, he's still giving his sponsors coverage and benefits as to why why they're funding him and backing him. So even in the virtual sense, he's managing to keep his backers satisfied. You could say. And
Yeah,
not
not
only
just Arjun.
Arjun, I think it's
Yeah,
even Sebastian who's representing his backers there, really. And I think the
yeah, and
others are going
Ronnie
to
as
follow
well.
suit. Yeah.
Yeah, Sebastian, Ronnie, and then you'll see a lot of race drivers as well as and when they start to get sponsors. And as and when sim racing picks up in India as well, I guess, you'll start to see more sponsors, more drivers displaying their sponsor names on their cars. And we have other drivers who have taken part in our series before, like Mohammed even, who's got sponsors just for sim racing. So it is picking up. It's growing really, really quickly in the region. And games like iRacing, particularly, they attract professional race drivers as well as gamers. For example, we're watching Rohan Shankar here, who's also a race driver, also a gamer. But Ankit Roy, who's paired with Rohan Shankar, is just purely a gamer. And we've seen Ankit perform really, really well in the last couple of races since he's joined the series. And he's super enthusiastic as well. Him and Rohan, as far as I know, they work really well together. They're constantly in touch. They do sessions together during the week. Rohan, of course, with all his experiences, helping Ankit improve, and it's paying off because they're running in the top three in the championship, and it's an extremely tough grid.
And that just goes to show consistency is key over a long championship such as what we are hosting right now. There are times when it could be 80% through the race and they might have been running in the top six or top seven, but just by keeping it consistent and keeping it clean, they managed to get a good number of podium finishes and find themselves fighting for the championship. So it's keeping that composure going into every race weekend and looking at the bigger picture that's really helped them as well. And I have to give a little shout out to Rowan as well because I mean it's all about different equipment that people race. I mean that they have access to and whatnot, and and using the logic D29 compared to a lot more sophisticated systems. I think Rowan is doing a really good job with that. Making the most out of it and clearly showing how much he's improved from week to week, really, with all the
Yeah,
time that he put in.
but while you say that, we're watching Rohan, and he still hasn't put a lap in. I think he's been exceeding track limits because if you look at the timing screen, half the grid hasn't put times in. They're literally 8 people have put times in, and another 8 of them haven't. So track limits are really, really important, and everywhere we go, we've seen that. And Spa is just one of those circuits that's so fast and flowing. It's so easy to make a mistake, and the moment you do that, your lap is completely gone, and it takes you a whole. There you go. You're watching Ron. Oh,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
parking on the side because his session's done. But yeah, it takes you a whole 2 minutes and 18 seconds to get all the way around to be able to do a lap all over again. We're now in the last 3-4 seconds left in qualifying. 8 drivers obviously have got their lap in, but it's a long race, So these guys can still strategize. Seem to see, yeah, they haven't got times in. So it's a long race. They can strategize and work things out between themselves. We've seen that drivers actually choose different fuel loads, I think, to start with, isn't it?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, going back to your point of exceeding track limits, because again, the new age circuits, they have a lot of tarmac runoffs, so it's very easy to run wide. And the game itself, it's not us who are making these decisions; it's the game who has inbuilt penalties. So they're very strict in terms of keeping all four wheels within those two white lines. So so just that little bit of when you exceed it, like we saw Ron going through the double left hander and just exceeding that little bit, and the lap is gone. But again, like you said, Althea, it's a long race. It's 50 minutes. It doesn't really matter. I think they can, as long as they keep their noses clean, they can find their way up. And that never give up attitude really pays off.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to quickly run you through the grid, we've got Arjun Maini in pole position, Sohail Shah second, Abdul Fattah third, Sebastian Grunert in fourth, Andre Stefan Geis in fifth, Lee Keshav, super job by him there to put it up in sixth place, Oshan Kotadia in seventh, Najim Ahmed eighth, Sai Saran in ninth, brother of Sai Sanjay. Rohan Shankar didn't get a lap in 10th. None of these guys got a lap in actually. It's Vishwas Vijayaraj in 11th, Shahan 12th, Gaurav Matthew 13th, Chetan Korada 14th, and Chetan Surini in 15th. We are about to get going soon. Just waiting for the lights to go out. And there we see the cars lined up. It looks like we've got a standing start. Is it not a rolling start? Yeah, it
does seem that way.
Yeah, it looks like the race is off and there's chaos already. Oof, there's cars going. That definitely calls for
safety car there.
That is a safety car situation there. We're definitely going to see the safety car come out.
I think they'll figure out by the end of the lap.
Chaotic start there. But Arjun Maini seems to have got away quite cleanly. A lot of drivers seem to have lost out on that standing start there. And that's why we've been seeing so many rolling starts recently, because it just proves to be a lot less chaotic. Fortunately, they don't have any damage on their cars, which means they can all come back and rejoin in their position for this race to restart. But really chaotic start there, Arman.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it took us back as well to just see. I mean, it didn't realize it was going to be a standing start, and I think that just caught a lot of other drivers out as well. But the positive is that there is a safety car now. They haven't even completed a lap yet, so I think what that does is just bunches the whole field up and gives everyone an equal opportunity, even those who lost out in that collision, to just refresh, restart, and look towards the next 48 minutes that would be in hand, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Now that they're all bunching up again, it's pretty much a restart situation. It's a long lap around Spa, so when they do get behind the safety car, they've got a couple of laps behind the safety car. But then the order is restored. Everybody has their chance again, and then we get racing. But we did see that a big loser in that was Lee Keshav at the restart. We saw his car flying, and it was Sai Saran as well whose car was flying. Rohan as well. So a bunch of guys who lost out there, but now they're catching up to the back of the field. Long lap around Spa, so they get to keep some heat in their tires. But just look at the attention to detail in this game. Every single tree, every single leaf. Sometimes it just boggles the mind how there can be so much attention to detail in a video game.
I swear, I mean, look at this helicopter view, and there's Arjun coming to the pits. What's going on?
What is going on?
I'm not sure. I don't know why he's coming to the pits on the first lap. I mean, it could not be a technical problem. Unless Althea, he's trying to re-strategize to go for a long first in, and he just wants to get a full tank of fuel in. I'm not really sure,
Yeah, that would be an interesting strategy.
Or there's a possible chance where he might have a drive-through for a jump start. That could be it. Actually, that could be what it is. And this is the best time for him to take it, because there's still a gap between the cars in front and the cars behind, but he's still going to come out at the back of the grid. It could be a jump start. I'm not sure exactly what it is. We will soon get word from race control. But yeah, we see Arjun now going through the pits. It's a long run through this pit lane.
You've got to go enter the pit at the end of the bus stop chicane. Oh, there's a red light at the
No.
end of the pit lane as well, so he can't leave. Or is he? Has he stopped for? There's no driver in the car. Not sure exactly what's going on there, but Arman, do you think he stopped in his pit, or do you think he's waiting for the pit is green? Push. No, it's at a red light there. Can't leave the pit. Not sure what's going on there with Arjun. Anyway, all the other drivers behind the safety car now. They've got 2 long laps to go. So keep some heat in the tires. But right now in the lead, we've got Stefan Andre Geis, followed by Abdul Fattah, followed by Sebastian Brunner. He has Arjun, in fact, handed the car over to Dushyant. And then followed by Oshan Kotadia, Shahan Ali Mohsin, Najib Ahmed, Vishwas Vijayaraj, Sohil Shah, who lost out big time in that start actually, Chetan Surineni in 9th place, who gained big time in the start. So there have been some huge gains and huge losses on that start, but now it's all going to come down to when the race starts, and everybody's got a lot of work to do here.
Yeah, it says Chetan's in 9th, but I was just told by his teammate that he might have an issue.
No, this is Chetan Surineni in 9th. Yeah, that's Chetan. The other Chetan is Chetan Korada, who's got an issue. So I think Chetan Korada hopefully should be back.
But hopefully the safety car gives him that opportunity to come back, before it dives into the pits.
But I'm still curious to know why Arjun handed the car over to Dushyant.
Yeah, I'm really puzzled,
because he's got to do it only in the pit window. But let's see what they do. There's still one more lap behind the safety car. It's a long lap here at Spa, which basically means that a lot of drivers could possibly lose out. The tier 1 drivers in this particular stint aren't really going to get much time to pull away and pull a gap. And you could see somebody like Sebastian even actually gaining out of this, because also we know that Spa is very, very strong on fuel consumption. But this could actually change a few strategies around, which means people may not really need to do a fuel stop. So guys like Sebastian, guys like Shahan, who are by themselves, could actually gain out of this.
There you see the Mercedes coming out of the pits. I think that was Chetan, if I'm not wrong. But yeah, like you said, there could be a lot of winners and a few losers as well because of what's going on. But there we see Arjun and Dushyant's car back on track. But again, remember that it's such a long lap that you can actually pull out a decent gap, even though the safety car is taking 2 laps off you. And I think most of the tier 1 drivers have anyway scheduled to do a longer stint while they're on track, so they've definitely fueled in for that,
Yeah, but I think you can only go 2 laps in this window, right? It's only a 5-minute window, so I don't see how they can do much more than 2 laps within the window itself. But it's going to be interesting to see now once this race restarts, because it's going to be a tough fight up on top between Andre and Abdul Fattah in front, Sebastian Brunner as well. All of them so evenly paced, so equally matched. But guys who are going to be trying to make their way up the field really quickly would be Sohil, who's dropped back a fair amount, and he is very, very quick. But a big gain from there, if you notice, is Shahan, and we know Shahan is very, very quick, and he is in 5th place right now.
Oh, definitely, and I think the Merc as well is very strong here, especially in the initial laps with the new tires. So I think Shahan will just be looking to move ahead as far as he can. The safety car we know is going to come in at the end of this lap. So we're in for a real tight tussle in that first lap on when the safety car comes in.
Yeah, it's going to be quite a battle, and it's Abdul who's sandwiched between the 2 Audis of the Germans. But we've seen the pace of the Ferrari on this circuit; it can be very, very quick. It's rapid down the straight, so it's going to be hard for the Audi to hold that car as they go down the Kemmel Straight into Lacombe. And we're watching them now go into Brussels. It's also this is where the Audi really comes into its element, right? Going downhill into this right-hander through Brussels, through Speaker Corner, the left. The Audi really then comes into its element. But then again, as they come out before Blanchimont, that's when again the Mercs and the Ferraris start to gain.
Yeah, I think the Ferraris and the Mercs are really strong in Sector 1 and Sector 3, like you mentioned, and the Audis just coming to their own, in Sector 2, which is all the medium and high speed twisty change of direction part of the circuit. And we know how well balanced that car is through the sequence of corners. But it's again the Ferraris and the Mercedes that will be focusing on getting the power down as early as they can. Coming out of La Sauce after the safety car pulls in and trying to get the run through Eau Rouge and Radio and going down the Canal Straight.
Yeah, and that's where the Audis are going to struggle at the restart, I think, because as soon as the car goes in, as soon as the safety car goes in, and the cars go past La Sauce, then all the way up through the Camels, through Eau Rouge Radio, the Camel Straight, the Audis are going to struggle a little bit. So I think Stefan is going to have his hands full right through that.
No doubt. But again, over the distance of the stint, I think the Audis will come into their own, and that's when they'll start piling the pressure again. So the main thing that they need to focus is on not to get involved in any incidents, even if they have to lose a place, where the car is not at the strongest suit. Just play the longer game, really,
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to watch because Arjun is going to do a mandatory stop as well. So Dushyant is now in the car while they're behind the safety car, but when the pit window opens, Dushyant is going to jump in and hand the car over to Arjun. So that is going to be an interesting stint to watch.
So they're taking the gamble, but they are going to still be getting a penalty, might I add, for doing a driver change before the pit lane window can open. So taking that penalty apart from another pit stop into account, I'm sure they've calculated that as well into the picture.
It's a gamble, and you and I both know as drivers, every possible chance that we can try and take a gamble, we will try. There's no harm trying. So I think that's what Arjun's going for here. But as we speak, the race is off again, and it's Stefan in the lead, followed by Abdul Fattah, Sebastian in third place. And as I said, the Audis are going to try really hard to try and hold off the charging Ferrari of Abdul Fattah here.
There you see the Ferrari making up so much time on the exit. As soon as he got the power down, he is on the bumper of the Audi that's in the lead and pulling away from Sebastian in third. Let's see if he gets a good run from Eau Rouge. The Audis are flat through Eau Rouge out there. It's superb, really. I mean, the tail comes out a little bit, but you can just hold it down and shifting the safe step from the exit.
But this is when I'm pretty sure it's not really going to be superb for Andre. Yeah. And, he's going to try hard to hold Abdul off. As long as he can get into Lacombe just enough distance ahead, which he has, now this is going to help him because for the rest of the lap, he's got the advantage in the Audi, he's got the grip, and they've sandwiched him, really. He's trying one more time into Bruxelles, but there's no chance over there.
He's trying to go around the outside. Where he has the inside for the left hand, and he's done it. He's
made it stick.
What a move. That was a phenomenal move there, but he's run a little wide, but he's kept it. He's held it.
That's something you only see experienced drivers do. And this young teenager Abdul Fattah, what a move! He's definitely been watching a lot of racing videos, and it's paying off. He doesn't have that much racing experience in a real car or a go-kart, but you don't really see drivers do that often. He put the trust in the car. He went around the outside and he made it stick.
Oh no, definitely. I mean, it was really confident in the brakes. He knew that he had the grip available to him on the outside. So like you said, he's obviously practiced it and looked at videos. There's so many forums available where he's understood that it's possible, and he stuck to his line, brake later, carried the speed around the outside, and had the inside for the next corner. And now you can see him just eking away as they come into Radio.
Yeah, he's just sneaking away, and
he's runs really wide.
I think those things give you penalties, right?
They do.
Let's see. Because I noticed him go wide a few times on this lap, and hopefully he'll be able to pull it back together all over again.
What it also does is, if he does not get an instant penalty, it'll be they get penalty points, and after you accumulate a certain amount of points, you have to take a drive through. So he'll be keeping that in mind as well.
Yeah, absolutely, and the game is quite strict about it. We saw that when we took part in the 24 Hours of Le Mans.
Yeah.
it was so strict about the incident points, and the more he keeps exceeding track limits, the more incident points he's going to collect. So I'm sure he's keeping an eye on that before handing it over to his brother and his teammate. But we're watching Sebastian over here. I'm sure Sebastian is going to try and make that move over Andre because he does have the pace. We saw Sebastian was really quick in qualifying. He was quicker than Andre. So, but knowing these two, they know each other really well. They will give each other the space to try and catch Abdul there. We saw the Audi actually close in a bit on the Ferrari down the straight.
I think it's just the toe that really helps, you know.
Yeah, it's probably the toe that helped him a lot, you know, and it's not letting Abdul pull away the way he wants to pull off.
Yeah, so I think the Audis, all they can do in the first and third sector, stay in that toe where they, you know, where they can hold the gap, and make sure that they really close it through the second sector where the car comes into its own.
Yeah, we're watching some battles now further back. And we saw Sohail actually hasn't really made. Yeah, and we saw that. And just about to say, he hasn't really made many places up. He's actually fallen back. He had dropped down to I think 11th or 12th, and we thought he'd start to make some places up, but clearly hasn't really worked in his favor.
I think he had dropped to 9th. He was in 9th when the safety car was out, and obviously he's lost a few more places here. But we see Rohan is come back in the top 10. I'm not sure what happened there, whether there was an incident or not. You know.
Yeah, Rohan, it shows Rohan now he's up to 9th. So good job by Rohan. He had some issues in the beginning, I think, with that crash. But watching the leaders again, watching Sebastian now in 3rd place. I'm sure again Sebastian really wants to make quick work of Andre because he can see Abdul running off into the distance. And we know Sebastian has that 18-second penalty as well. So he needs to try and make as much ground as he can. He can't afford to be slowed down by the cars in front. But someone who's actually really impressive is Oshan, who's behind Sebastian. At this point, he's 2.3 seconds behind, but he hasn't really lost that much ground to the guys in front, who are really, really experienced, mind you.
Yeah, I think this is Oshan's strongest drive, to be honest, in terms of pace, where, you know, he's held his own and being competitive right from the start, you know, and not just making up places to others' faults, but being competitive right from the get-go and holding his own, really. And, you know, as this battle continues, he might actually make up some ground here.
Yeah, he could make up some ground. And watching again, Sebastian is going to try and make that move. I think he's going to try and go around the outside unless Andre gives him some space. He is giving him space, but no, he's just too far behind. The slipstream really isn't as effective as we thought it would be.
I think the Audis are just so evenly balanced. I mean, you know, so it's just that, you know, once you come out of the slipstream, you hit a brick wall of the wind that comes against you. And so they just need to stick behind him and hope that, I think either he drops a bit of pace or he makes a mistake, really, while all he can do is pressure him.
Yeah, and what the GT3 cars really need is the DRS system. You know, that's what will make it really, really interesting to watch. Or a push to pass even. So to get these guys overtaking. Yeah, because otherwise it's really, really hard to overtake in a GT3 car. And the manufacturer really does dictate how much speed you have. But in the meantime, we're watching Najib fight with Vishwas. Two of them very evenly matched normally in terms of pace and have been providing some great battles through the season. Najib and Vishnu Prasad, who are teammates, have been fiercely competitive, but not to forget Ritesh, who's Vishwas's teammate. Najib and Vishnu. Not to forget Ritesh. Yeah, Ritesh yesterday was really quick. He was running in the top 5 for a long time. So I think after the pit stops, it's still going to be an interesting battle to watch this one.
Yeah, I think Ritesh himself was surprised when he was classified as a tier 1 driver, but he's lived up to the expectations and he was really quick yesterday. I know he was trying a few things to set up earlier today, but I think once the driver change happens, I think you'll see Ritesh trying to make will move up a bit as well. But you'll also have Vishnu. Oh, but saying that Vishnu.
Oh, just as you.
There's gonna be a few comments in the teammate Discord box there. But
we were looking forward to this battle actually, and it just ended. And I think maybe it was Vishwas probably trying too hard to Blanchimont there, but didn't work in his favor. But again, back with Sebastian and Andre, they're so evenly paced, and they're not really letting Abdul pull away that much. And again, it's going to become really interesting after the pit stops because Sebastian is clearly going to come out with a big lead unless he has to refuel. But again, Spa it consumes a lot of fuel, this circuit. So we're going to have to see if these guys will need to refuel. Unlike circuits like Okayama and Lime Rock, where fueling isn't really necessary because you can save fuel. So that will be interesting to see, because then that would mean Sebastian would be in the lead after the pit stops, but still has to serve the post-race 18-second penalty. So he needs to push as hard as possible.
Oh, definitely. I mean, but also remember, they have. I think they have to fuel. I mean, there's no way they can run on a fuel on a single fuel time without refueling, because again, there's so much being consumed on the circuit. So, taking that in mind, and if he changes tires, he does have that 18-second penalty as well. So, and remember, Ronnie is on the same pace as him. So,
Yeah, Ronnie and Sebastian, all these guys actually, the three of them are very, very evenly matched. And they're trying their best actually to catch Abdul, but this young little kid from Kerala is just showing them that he's got what it takes to be a proper sim driver. And it's great to watch. He's really giving these experienced guys a proper run.
No, I mean they've been both the brothers. To be honest, both the Abdul brothers have been super impressive. At least to me, they've come out of nowhere really, and just gone from strength to strength to strength. And it's the way they go about a weekend. Okay, they do a lot of work, obviously, leading up to a race weekend. And it really shows. It really shows, and it's very impressive to watch, because by no mean feat are they competing against amateurs. They have some really strong competitors, who they're fighting with, and they're doing a phenomenal job, to be honest.
We're watching right now Shahan as well, this young kid. Lots of young kids on the grid. Shahan again is 15 years old, and he's slowly inching into the back of Oshan Kotadia here. And Oshan, we've seen, he starts off a bit slow every now and then when we get into practice sessions before the race weekend starts. But when it comes to crunch time, he always manages to pull something out of the bag, and he's doing that right now by running in 4th place. And he's going to hand it over to Tejasvi. And Tejasvi, again, we know is really, really quick in this game.
We do. Tejas has been another fine, but like you said, Oshan's just been mature about it, and he's only built on from strength to strength, and in the end, it's the points that matter. It's not where you qualify, right? And that's what he's done really.
I was just watching Sebastian here. He's unbelievably smooth. He's just look at his steering wheel inputs. It's so smooth. He's not really putting in that much effort. It looks like he's not trying at all. He's just happy with where he is, because he's probably calculating in his mind right now to see how long he needs to stop. And once he has clear air, I think that's when he's going to push and make full use of his tires.
Another point that I want to bring up while we were on board with Sebastian was that, did you notice he was short shifting, which means he's fuel saving. He's fuel saving so that he can have that extra lap when he's out of traffic. If his competitor pits when the pit lane window opens, Sebastian wants to stay out for that extra 1, 2, maybe even 2.5 laps, where he can try and gain that time, from the guys in front of him.
Yeah, and the pit window opens in 90 seconds, so which means they do have to actually start the next lap. There's no way that this leading group is going to have the opportunity to pit at the end of this lap. But yeah, you're right, Sebastian. And by sticking to the back of Andre, he's not really breaking through the air, which means his car isn't going to be consuming as much fuel. So he's doing everything possible to actually save his tires and save fuel at the same time.
You're right. I mean, it's playing really well for him. I mean, is he going to try and make a move here? He's close. He's diving on the inside.
He's made it stick. What a move!
And like you said, super smooth. Super smooth. Made it look really effortless. In that, but also kudos to Andre for not shutting the door aggressively and thinking of the longer game.
Yeah, superb job, and well noted by Andre to see him coming down the pit lane. In 30 seconds, we see the pit lane will open, and that's when we're going to see a bunch of guys diving in. And I think by opening in 30 seconds, a whole bunch of guys are at the back are going to wish that they were even further behind, because they have to wait a whole lap or drive a whole lap before they dive into the pits, because the pit lane now will open in 10 seconds. And I don't think there's anyone who's going to be around at some point in the circuit where they will pit on this lap.
I was just going to ask, do you think there's anyone who hasn't started the last lap that who might be able to make that pit stop? It's a long pit lane though that they have here at Spa, so it takes a lot of time.
There's Vikas here who's coming across, but I think he's going to
Sorry.
stay out for a
Yeah.
while before handing it to Chetan Korada. Oh
Oh,
no,
we see
Roshan's had a
Oshan there.
spin. I hope that wasn't contact with Shahan because I saw that the two of them were really, really close. He's coming across the track and there's Lee there. Lee manages to
There,
avoid him. But Najib trying to
there's
find his
Najib
way
there.
around Oshan there. Oh, that was a bit chaotic, but unfortunate for Oshan. He was running in fourth place. I don't know what happened there, but I hope it wasn't contact with Shahan's car. They were in a really, really close battle with each other. We're seeing Dushyant is going to dive into the pits now, hand the car over to Arjun Maini, and it's going to be interesting to see what Arjun does because he's got 25 whole minutes to actually try and make up for as much time possible. In the meantime, Abdul is pushing really hard, and he seems to have actually pulled a gap to Sebastian now. That 3.7-second gap to Sebastian. That
Yeah,
little bit
because
of fighting between Sebastian and Andre seems to have lost them quite a bit.
that's exactly what I was going to say because he's just taking advantage of second and third, which is Sebastian and Andre having a battle. And what that's done is just given that clear way where you can just be consistent and keep with that rhythm and not be disrupted. And what that's done is pulled out a very comfortable gap, might I say.
Yeah, and we're seeing Abdul Fatah doing one more lap. I think he can just about squeeze one more lap in. It's going to be interesting to see if Rohan Shankar will squeeze another lap in. It's at the pit window will close in just over 3.5 minutes. So I think Rohan is safe to do another lap. Yep, he is going for another lap. So see, just close the rear coming out. Have the Germans pitted? Yes, I think Sebastian has dived into the pits there. And Andre, both of them have dived into the pits, which means Rohan Shankar right now takes over second place. Arjun Maini just out of the pits. We saw Abdul Fatah coming up to the back of Arjun Maini's car. It's a long, long pit lane, so these guys are going to lose a lot of time driving through this pit. Whoa, what's that?
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
That he must have driven over a manhole or something. Maybe somebody was crossing the road. Oh, what's that? There is something on the road there. We just saw the murk of Shahan at the back as well, climbing over something. Not sure what exactly that is. It looks pretty funny.
It does, doesn't it?
But everybody's diving in the pit right now.
But surprisingly enough, I'm not sure whether Vishwas has pitted yet or not because he's still out there, and I would think that he'd have pitted earlier, but he was just coming up to pass the two Audis of Sebastian and Ronnie, and here we are riding with him on board right now.
He's still on track.
Straight out.
He can pit at the end of this lap, but yeah, I would have thought he would have pit with everyone else. But maybe he is trying to put in an overcut. Let's see if that can work in his favor. We're definitely going to see Abdul Fatah come in at the end of this lap.
Yeah, overcut, just hoping for a safety car that comes out, which will really bunch everyone up. I think that's the risk that they were taking.
I don't see, in this current situation, you don't really see safety car situations normally, but there's a car flashing back there. Maybe Arjun Maini, they're having a bit of a flash, but he has fallen back behind Abdul Fatah. He came out of the pits just ahead of him.
Yeah, but do remember on new tires, his grip levels won't be as high as what Abdul's is. So it does take a lap for the tires to come in, and you see Abdul Fatah running really wide again here, and I'm not sure what the game is going to say with that. But I expect him to come to the pits now, and then Arjun has a clear road in front of him to try and make up all that ground.
Yeah, now Arjun has a clear road. He's going to try and make up as many places as he can. But he's got still 23 minutes to actually try and catch up with the cars in front of him. So he's going to push really, really hard. We saw that he put the car on pole position. He has the pace to be super quick on this circuit. He has a clear track as well, so he's going to make full use of the clear track. I do wonder, though, if he changed tires in that pit stop. It's going to be interesting to see because that you do spend a lot of time changing tires, so maybe not actually.
That's true. We'll have to just wait and see because again the new tires just haven't pushed that much more. So maybe he just took that risk, yeah.
Yeah,
but,
he probably took that risk.
Coming back to the leading pack really now. We'll have to see where Abdul, the brother comes out in front of the two Audis. Really.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see because I think they're just about getting over. They haven't yet handed over to the teammates, but we see he's going in now. We see Rohan and Vishwas are now in the pits handing the cars over. Rohan's going to be handing it over to Ankit, and like we said, Ankit has really improved since the beginning of the series, and they've been working well together as a team. So let's see what they can do. And we're seeing in the background, I think, is that Vishwas who's coming in to hand it over to Ritesh.
Ritesh.
He's not that far behind actually.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, here you see Vishwas is coming and parking his box just behind Rohanka, and Ankit's going to get in, and Ritesh is going to get in. I think that's another battle that might crop up, really.
Yeah, that could be a battle that we could watch for because Ritesh is really quick and probably does have the pace and the advantage over Ankit. But in the meantime, yep, as we expected, it's Sebastian now who's taken the lead and he's followed by Abdul Hadi. And Sebastian is going to need to push really, really hard to actually try and take advantage of that pit stop. But let's see how many seconds he has to who's behind him. Abdul Hadi behind him, and behind them is right now in third place should be Ronnie Wexelberger. So Ronnie is 10 seconds. Yeah, he's Sebastian has a 15-second lead over Ronnie right now, and that's pretty much the difference in the pit stop. It's 15 seconds, and then the driver loses an extra 3 seconds just for having been alone. And so Sebastian then has that lead over there. So again, he's going to need to push really, really hard if he wants to keep himself on the top step of the podium now.
Yeah, he's gonna have to build on this gap because again, you know that the penalty that they incur because of driving alone. So he's gonna be on every lap has to be a qualifying lap now, really, for Sebastian.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see the pace difference between him and Abdul Hadi as well. We will see the times prop up as they cross the start line. But if he can manage to eke out just over half a second over Abdul Hadi per lap, he could at some point manage to just about get enough between the two of them. Of course, I think he's 5 seconds ahead. It's going to be hard for him to do.
No doubt, but never say never. Really, I mean, you know, these things play out. But just going further down the field, we're just looking at everyone start to settle in, and you know, once they've all finished their pit stops, see where they all come out. We see the driver changes that have happened. We see Advait the other back on track. We see Prasad there. It still shows that Shahan is on track, and I think did Shahan pit?
Shahan would have pitted. Yeah, Shahan doesn't have a teammate today, so Shahan is still going to be on track and where he is. So, but I would imagine if Shahan is where he is right now, he's probably fueled. Whereas Sebastian, on the other hand, has managed to save enough fuel not to have a refuel during the pit stop. So, different strategies between the two drivers who are alone and don't have teammates right now.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out at the end of the race because we've seen people running out of fumes, and here
is Vishnu making a mistake there?
Yeah.
Shahan trying to go around the outside, and it's Sai Sanchez waiting to pick up the pieces there.
And we have Sai coming in as well like a bullet there.
Yeah, he's waiting to pick up the pieces, and it's a three-way battle now going into La Sauce. After that, they're going to head to Eau Rouge, and Radion is
side by side.
Oh, and Vishnu's going across, and I think they made Sai Sanchez just managed to make a little bit of contact with the wall there, but Vishnu's not going to be pleased because he just got passed by Shahan and Sai Sanchez. He's lost two places there, and he's literally watched these two kids grow up, and now he's just watching them run away from him.
That's absolutely true. Yeah, he's looking brought them up in terms of both the karting and the racing world, and now to see the whole of them passing within two corners must be really frustrating.
Yeah, I'm sure Vishnu's sitting in there saying, "I taught you boys, letting you go past me." It's always good to see when the students go ahead of the teacher.
No, but you can expect Sai as well to try and make up as much ground as he can because again, remember he's fighting for the championship, and they had a disastrous of a race yesterday, so now it's just going to be recovery.
Yeah, that's true. He's got to try and recover, to try and get back into championship contention because the people he's battling with Abdul Hadi, Abdul Hadi is right now up there in front in second place. And while we're speaking, Sebastian Grunert is now pulling everything out of the bag. He's actually gained some time over Abdul Hadi on that lap.
He has, hasn't he? And that just the continuity that that being a single driver that helps you, even though you have the penalty, basically is what he's just maximizing to help to the limit really, and trying to use that rhythm to build that gap in the initial stages.
Yeah, and Sebastian, in fact, was actually not supposed to be doing this weekend because he'd backed out early on. He said that he had some work to do and he wasn't really going to join. And he literally joined in for the qualifying session yesterday. That's when he made it. If you remember, there was a request to try and delay the qualifying session so that Sebastian could join the grid, but he managed to just about make it in time. And now we're seeing him actually lead this race.
Yeah,
So
for
it's a
sure.
superb
I
job
mean,
there.
he is doing a really good job. So no, nothing taken away from him.
Yeah, I can't take anything away from him for doing a good. We went on board with him a while ago, and it was superb to watch. And I haven't really seen someone so clean in a game in a long time, and just the patience of him, the way he was following Andre Geis, it was quite a treat to watch. And now he's pushing hard.
Yeah, that first thing was super impressive. Just look at how he patiently waited until the last minute, before the pit lane to open, and just fuel saving really, and that's what's played into his hands, because not only was he in the draft where he could just coast to the corners, but also short shifting. So just that effort has really paid off now. Someone's really been doing his
Yeah,
homework.
he's clearly done a lot of homework. And someone I'm curious to actually keep an eye on right now is Arjun Maini, because he had an interesting strategy by diving into the pits early on and hoping to make up for something later in the race. So let's see where he is. He's in 11th place. He's pushing hard for sure to try and make up time, but it looks like there's quite a gap between him and the cars in front. I can see.
I can see a car in front of
Tejasvi
him.
Shetty,
That's
yeah.
Tejasvi,
That's
yeah.
the that's the green Ferrari of Tejasvi, and the reason they've dropped back so much, obviously, we saw earlier there was that spin that Oshan had, and seems like he may have spun all by himself. But he had another incident at pit lane entry, got hit from behind by Najib actually, and that actually lost him a lot of time. And now Tejasvi now is in 10th place. It's a shame because they were running up there in 4th.
That's true. I mean, that's the thing. In the start of the race, Oshan was doing such a good job, and unfortunately, a few come-togethers really that's put them all the way to the bottom of the top 10. But nevertheless, I think Arjun's really making a lot of time on Tejasvi right now, pushing really hard and closing that gap. Remember, Tejasvi and Arjun were teammates in the past, a couple of weekends ago, so they do know each other. They are familiar with one another.
Yeah, they are familiar. They're working well together as a team. We've seen them perform really well. It's just these unfortunate incidents that we've seen happen to them over the course of a few races. But it's right now Arjun catching up with his old teammate Tejasvi. We saw them work together in the last championship. And again, they did really well together in that series.
They did. They were really competitive, and that's the series really where we discovered Tejasvi. Because I didn't know. I don't think either of us knew what his credentials were before that.
Yeah, we'd never heard of him, and then we saw his license points, and clearly
Yeah.
he is a force to reckon with. So we've been keeping our eyes out on Tejasvi, and he's been doing really well.
Oh,
That's
that's
Ritesh
big.
Rai. Oh
Oh,
no, that's really
that's a costly
unfortunate.
mistake. He's running in seventh place. Then he's really thrown that away.
Yeah, he has properly thrown it away, and there you see Vishnu Prasad as well going past, and that's Ritesh dropped down now to ninth place. Is it? Yep, he's in ninth.
Oh, he must be
Yeah.
gutted there.
He was trying hard, and Ritesh has been practicing again all week, and it's really unfortunate. But good to see so many cars on the grid. We've got 15 cars today, and a good mix of drivers, a good mix of tier 1 drivers, tier 2 drivers, and a lot of them getting better as we go on. We're seeing now Arjun finding it a little difficult to close in on Tejasvi. Tejasvi seems to have upped his pace a little bit, I think, when he saw Arjun coming in behind him.
Yeah, I think what happens is especially with rookie drivers, when they're in the midst of having no one around them, they go into a little bit of they just have a little bit of a lapse, where they get comfortable at a certain pace. But now that he's got pressure on, he's stepped on it and he started pushing again. He's got his focus back on. Oh, is that Ritesh
That's Vishnu
again?
coming back on track. No, that was Vishnu coming back on track, and I think he drove into the back of him, and that's given Arjun Maini the position because Tejasvi had to brake really, really hard to try and avoid him.
Oh
That's
my
the
god.
commentator's curse, isn't it?
Yeah.
Vishnu Prasad just driving around, minding his own business, and just ruined Tejasvi's position for him. I mean,
No,
Tejasvi still stays.
that was Vishnu actually made a mistake because he was running. Remember, he was running in seventh.
He
Uh,
was running in seventh. Yeah, he seems to have gone off all by himself.
and he's dropped out. He's dropped to 11th really. But this is another battle that's coming up with Tejasvi chasing Arjun now. And I think in the ideal world they need to work together really to try and close the gap with the guys in front.
Yeah, and I
What
think in front of them, it's Ritesh
what this
now who's in front of them.
yeah, but what this has done is it's elevated Sai and Shahan all the way to 6th and 7th.
And that puts them properly now in contention once again. And but Sai right now 11 seconds behind Advait, and Advait again has been quick and he's been consistent throughout the series. And we've seen him slowly inch his way up the leaderboard. I think his teammate Lee had an unfortunate incident in the first stint, so that put them a little bit on the back foot. But again, Advait is making up for it, and he's catching up with the guys in front. He's right now 6 seconds behind Ankit Roy, but it's going to be hard to catch Ankit. But I'm pretty sure Advait, knowing Advait, he can pull it off.
Oh, just looking at the background there, you see these two Ferrari taking on the Audi on the straight. Can Tejasvi try and make a move? Arjun has been defensive earlier, but he's closed the doors. He's opened his elbows there.
You
And
saw how
like,
late Arjun braked
yeah.
there. You usually don't see the car in front running away on the brake like he did. But that's just given Arjun a huge advantage there when he braked into Lacombe or going into Brussels. And then we've said that time and again, we said it yesterday as well. The Audi on the brake is just so strong.
Oh, definitely. I mean, with that mid-engine, I think the balance going hard on the brakes is so much better than the rear engine Ferrari. Where Arjun has just made the most out of that, and you see the gap is huge. I mean, in the midst of three or four corners.
Yeah, and we're watching Sebastian now really put his foot down and go. I think he definitely wants this win. He's 13 seconds ahead of Abdul Hadi right now, and if he can actually gain another 5 seconds, it's going to be tough to do unless Abdul makes a mistake. It's his win.
You know what? With all the problems in the start and whatever's going on, again, the people who we find making the most out of it and now find themselves in the top 4 is the Ferrari of Rohan and Ankit Roy, Rohan Shankar and Ankit Roy, and again they find themselves in a commanding position where they're in the top 4. And early in the race they were nowhere in the top 7.
Yeah, Rohan really managed to make some places up, and you're right. He's really made a lot of places up to come into the top 4. Advait, obviously, if we're watching him now, and he's closing in 1 second every minute, so he's closing in really quickly, and let's just hope they put on a good battle for us, because he's right now 4 seconds behind. We've got 9 minutes to go in this race, so I would imagine the last couple of laps, Advait is going to be right behind him. But again, back with Arjun, he's right behind Ritesh now, and Tejasvi is actually sticking to him. He's not losing ground to Arjun right now, and they're catching Ritesh right really quickly.
They are. As you saw, Arjun's significant pace advantage in qualifying, but Tejasvi is doing a great job of staying with him. And Ritesh is going to come under pressure very soon. So we'll have to see how he handles that. After making one big, very costly mistake with Son going out of the top 6. You see Arjun coming on the break.
I think that's Ritesh's son telling him to let
Yeah. I think that's my nephew. I think Arjun was just told Ritesh, Baba, let Arjun go. He's my favorite. Follow him.
He made it way too easy for him, but now Ritesh is going to try and follow Arjun. You see, every lap, it's only in that particular sector, that particular section of the lap that Arjun gains so much time over Tejasvi. You see, again, Tejasvi has lost a lot of time to Arjun just going through Lacombe. And
but the
now Arjun's flying again.
The fascinating part about that is that by the end of the lap, again, through sector 3, you see Tejasvi close that gap back down. So overall, it seems quite a balance between the two,
Yeah, it is quite balanced between the two, and they're watching Advait Deodhar right now, reeling in to the back of Ankit Roy. He's 2.5 seconds behind him now, so he's got him a lot. Like I said, he's catching him a second every minute, and that's really quick pace now for Advait in the Hammer Time Racing Mercedes car. But of course, I'm sure Rohan is on the radio with Ankit telling him, look, let's get a good top 5 finish. We all know how Advait can get a little aggressive sometimes, so Advait is always there just for the fun. Although some guys around him may be taking it a bit too seriously, it's good to have characters like Advait coming and having good fun every now and then. So he is reeling into the back of Ankit now, and I would imagine he's going to make quick work of him.
Oh, for sure. I mean, with that much of a pace, I don't think it makes sense, to really defend too much, rather than think about the points that need to be scored and try and see where Advait is actually gaining on him if he gets past.
Yeah, watching a superb camera angle here from up above, watching them go into Lacombe, watching the trees again. Like I said earlier, there's just so much attention to detail. Even the fields, there's so much attention to detail. It's great to watch in this game, but as we speak, Advait is just getting closer and closer, flashing his lights now, trying to distract Ankit, making sure Ankit watches the mirrors, but he's got it a bit sideways there.
Yeah, while doing all this, just hope Advait doesn't go and make a mistake himself. But yeah, the attention to detail is phenomenal. The forest section is superb. I mean, look at it. The circuit is so picturesque, really, where it just goes through the whole city, and earlier it used to be part street circuit, part permanent, but now obviously it's a full permanent structure, and it's one of the best circuits you can ever, as a driver, or even as a spectator, to ever go to.
Yeah, even as a spectator, I've been there as a spectator, and we've both been there as drivers as well.
Yeah.
There's just it's that atmosphere that you don't really get in many places in the world when you drive into this circuit. It just feels like you entered a temple of motorsport.
100%.
It's like Monza, Monza, Spa. They give you that special feeling when you walk in. It's you can't get it when you walk into the Bud International or even in Sepang. Of course, Sepang has that smell of ice Milo and chicken
and
rice.
100 plus.
But the Spa has a completely different feeling about it altogether.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's also the young driver, when we first went there, it's like something that you've always watched and read about, and getting there and just looking at the circuit that it is, it leaves a very special memory, and it installs very special memory deep inside that you never forget.
Yeah, that you never forget. And even the drive to the circuit, driving through the Eiffel, the forest.
Yeah.
And what's really special about circuits like Spa and Nürburgring are actually not that far apart from each other. I think it's really like a couple of hours drive or less. Yeah. And you're between Spa and Nürburgring, and they're in the same forest range. They're both, I think, in the Eiffel. So they're two very special circuits in the same area. But now we're watching Advait the other flashing his lights vigorously as he gets closer and closer to Ankit Roy. Sure, he doesn't want to make any mistakes as well, because he's fought so hard to get all the way to where he is right now.
I'm sure you have the teammates on the radios being like, focus, look ahead, do not look in your mirrors. Especially, Rohan's telling Ankit, and Lee is probably telling Advait, just go for it, come on.
Yeah, Lee's telling Advait, go bro. But I'm sure Rohan is telling Ankit, just drive consistently, don't make any mistakes. If he comes, let him go. Or Rohan's probably listening to us and saying, let's see what Advait does. But pretty sure Ankit won't do anything stupid, neither will Advait. But he made a mistake. That's given Advait the chance to actually come and drive down the inside. Is he going to let him go and make it easy, because he's now on the inside for the next corner? No, he's not making it easy for Advait at all.
But remember, it's a chicane, and okay, Advait's given that up. He's not held it on the outside.
No, Advait's got work to do now. I thought Advait would make quick work of that, but Ankit's not making it easy for him at all.
He's not at all.
They have 2 more laps to go after this.
Yeah,
so I think 2 laps of Ankit trying to hold Advait.
You see Advait just trying to use all the road available. He's trying to go around the outside of Blanchimont, but I don't think that's going to be possible. Oh, is it?
Tough, it's going to be tough. He's done it. He's gone all the way around the outside. What a move.
And a phenomenal move there by Advait, really sticking it there and putting all the pieces together and making sure he gets the braking right into the last chicane, the bus stop chicane. Here we have focusing on Ritesh and Tejaswi. Obviously, Arjun has gone long the distance.
Yeah, Arjun has gone far ahead. He's 6 seconds behind Shahan. It's going to be hard for him to catch up with Shahan right now before the end of the race. But looks like Tejaswi could actually make a move on Ritesh to bring himself up into 9th place and get those valuable points from him. Ritesh defending hard going into the bus stop. Oh, this is going to be really, really close.
Yeah, Tejasvi trying to get a good exit doing that, and he's got him actually. He's ahead of him.
Yep, he's got him. He made him stick. He pushed Arjun. He pushed Ritesh wide. Ritesh tried the best he could, but no, Tejasvi's made it stick. Tejasvi's defending now going into Lassos. This could give Arjun, Ritesh a good run. No, Ritesh is too far
Yeah, I
behind.
think a Ferrari still has too much grunt when you get on the power. I mean, I think it just pulls away really. What Ritesh can do is only
Yeah,
stick into his slipstream in this draft and try and try and close up on the under braking.
it's going to be tough. Tejasvi is not making any mistakes, and it's going to be hard to catch someone like Tejasvi right now, especially in the Ferrari. But back with Sebastian, who's leading the race, 14 seconds now, so he's really pulled a gap to Abdul Hadi. But unless he can really do some magic on the next lap, there's no way he can win this race because he needs an 18-second gap to Abdul to be able to win it. Otherwise, it's going to be the Abdul brothers who take both races for the weekend.
That's I agree, and that's going to do wonders for their championship really. But to be honest, they have put in the work. They have done nothing wrong on their part today, at least, and they've been on the money. Let's just wait. It's never over until the checker flag drops. So let's just wait and not put the commentator's curse on it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the last lap now as they come across the line. The finish line actually on the other side in the GT race, isn't it? That's where we saw them start from.
Yep. For the endurance format, we do start post La Source basically, and the first corner is actually on Rouge. If you look at it, even though the timing line is after the bus stop.
Yep, and it looks like Sebastian on this last lap seems to actually be taking it easy. Will it be because he's lost half a second already from the beginning of the lap up till now, more than half a second, 7 tenths. Is he cutting it fine on fuel?
Is it fuel?
He could have cut it really, really fine on the fuel because he's actually had to back off quite a bit. He's lost 7 tenths from the beginning of the lap, and if you look at the times, he's losing time really, really quickly. So maybe he's now content with second place and just wants to get his car across the finish line. Again, just so smooth every time we watch him on board.
Yeah, no corrections, no overcorrections, no putting too much theory input there, but yeah, short shifting everywhere right now, just coasting.
Yeah, he's dropped to second from the beginning of the lap up till now. So you're right. He's just coasting, trying to make it to the finish line, and he knows. I think he's given up on trying to fight to get that first place. It's the Abdul brothers who have that easy win for them, and post penalty, Sebastian will be in second place, which is a great result for him actually, considering he has an 18-second time penalty, which means he has done a super job to actually pull out that gap after the pit stops.
Yeah, he's just used that, being the single driver in the team, used that to his maximum advantage. Obviously, I'm sure he'll like to fill a little more fuel because he has had, he's almost planned to perfection, but just a little more improvising has to be done, really. But saying that both the Abdul brothers have been so evenly matched as teammates that they've just held that gap, really, and they've not let it go.
Yeah, the Abdul brothers have been phenomenal this championship. No one's been able to catch them. Of course, Sai Sanjay, Sai Sharan, they tried really, really hard early on in the championship, but they're just not able to keep up with the Abdul brothers. But there we see Sebastian now coming to the finish line to take a win on the track, but it's going to be second place overall after he serves his penalty. And the winners once again will be, and hopefully if they manage to get across... Wait a second. Why is he stopping? He's not finished the race.
He hasn't passed the start.
He hasn't finished the race. He hasn't crossed the line.
Have they just...
Oh my God. I think he's exited the race. What just happened there? Because that's the finish. Where's he? I don't know, because Ronnie's crossed the line. It says he's in third.
It has classified him.
He did get classified. What's happened there? Advait's lost. Okay, maybe it was the other. Okay, maybe it was. Maybe the start. Maybe this is the finish line as they come across over here, because everybody seems to be stopping as they go across. So okay, that was a bit confusing for both of us because we didn't see a flag here. But yeah, I think this was the line because Abdul has been last
Sorry for the
Friday. So
confusion, ladies and gentlemen, but the results just stand as we earlier mentioned them. Sorry for the confusion that we had caused, but yeah, the winners are the Abdul brothers who do a phenomenal race. In second, you have Sebastian, and third, you have Ronnie. Uh, bringing it in.
yep, great racing once again. I mean, 50 minutes of racing, and it always gives us some great entertainment. We've seen these guys entertain themselves after the race as well. But there we have the results, ladies and gentlemen. Sebastian Grenert wins on track. Second place, of course, after the penalty is added. Abdul Hadi, Abdul Fatah win the race. Ronnie Wexelberger and Andre Geis in third place. Advait Deodar Keshav in fourth. Sai Sanjay and Sai Saran in fifth place. Great job by the brothers there. Ankit Roy and Rohan Shankar, they were running in fifth actually. They seem to have lost out at
On the
some point
last
because
lap,
now
they've lost it on the
on the
last lap.
last lap they've lost out. So now they're in sixth place. So not sure what happened to them there because a fifth place position would have been great for them in the championship. They could have actually helped them catch up with Sai Sanjay, Sai Saran. Not sure what happened. Sahan Ali all by himself in seventh place, but has a penalty to serve. Arjun Maini again possibly a penalty to serve. He's in eighth. Tejasvi Shetty in ninth, Ritesh Rai 10th, Vishnu Prasad 11th, Chetan Parada 12th, Varun Shah Gaurav Matthew in 13th, Ayan Sharma Sohil Shah in 14th, and a disappointing finish for them for sure. And Chetan Surnani all by himself in 15th, who had internet issues early on. So once again, great racing, ladies and gentlemen. But now I'm sure we want to leave you all for Formula One. As you may have heard, Lewis Hamilton has a 3 grid penalty, so he's going to start in fifth place. We hope you all enjoyed the battle and the racing today, and we will see you soon.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for tuning in, and do join us next week again for our coverage of the Smart 24 Hours. Enjoy Formula One, and also don't forget to tune in later tonight at 10 p.m. for our Ford versus Ferrari on PlayStation. That's going to be really exciting as well.